there, I'm the 996. First of all, please subscribe and push the little bell so that you can get updates when I post my videos. First of all, this video is going to be about a movie. It is also a book, but I haven't read the book yet, so I'll be discussing the movie with major spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie 5 Feet Away, please just stop this video right now. When you finish watching the movie, then come back to it. Okay. So, I have a few notes here. First of all, 5 Feet Away, if you don't know the story, the premise is about two hospitalized teenagers who have cystic fibrosis, which is a terminal disease that makes it so that people with the illness are supposed to stay 6 feet away from others with cystic fibrosis, or they can catch each other's bacteria, and it could be fatal. But while that might sound depressing, this story I find very hopeful. First of all, if anyone has seen the movie or read John Green's A Fault in Our Stars, knows about two teenagers with cancer. This is a bit similar, but it's also more uplifting in a sense that I think that this character grows without the main characters dying. Now, while it's not unrealistic, okay, so what happens is that people with, it's not unreal, let me start over again. While it's not unrealistic that people with this disease can live and possibly get lungs because this is a lung disease, it is unrealistic that both people would get lungs at the exact same time. This is how the story is realistic and it shows a character growth. So first of all, let me explain the female lead, Stella. Stella is this 17-year-old who is very type A personality. She's very structured with her medicine, her regimens. She makes a YouTube channel where she discusses her disease, but instead of making it as about very doom and gloom and heavy, she is very positive. She's very optimistic. It's not a matter of her being unrealistic and not being aware that she only has so much time to live, probably with her disease, and most people don't make it to the age where you can have children. But she does hope for lungs, and she does like to spread awareness about her condition on YouTube. She reads books about connecting death with life, and she loves watching children in the NICU, and that's where you can watch the babies after they've been born. And she's a very uplifting character despite what she's going through. The opposite end is a character named Will. He's on the same age as Stella. He is pessimistic. His family is rich. So they can have him in this treatment program trying to see if some kind of treatment will work to help his cystic fibrosis. Well, first of all, they're not supposed to be within any distance other than 6 feet apart. When she meets him, he's like, oh, it's only life. I'm talking about the disease. Which is not the best way to look at that, but he's not only a teenager, he has a disease that's going to eventually kill him. I like the fact that they have character development and we can look at this. For instance, think about it. If you're a writer and you're writing a story, does your character have any outlets if they're going through a difficult time? Doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something as dire as a terminal illness. But Will, for example, loves to draw, and he draws cartoons. That's something that's very interesting about him, even though he is pessimistic. Stella even sees him on the rooftop, and he jokes about falling off, and then she locks him up on the roof. And she starts to fall for him immediately, pretty much. You know what, honestly, I do feel that the way that she starts to fall for him is a bit soon. I mean, he she like tells him like she wants to see his regimen of his medicine. I know this is because she mentioned she has some control issues. They have a lot of medicine they have to take for this disease, so they have something where they could take medicine. She wants to see what happens if she starts taking medicine with him, and they start being responsible for both of them taking their own medicine instead of just her. She takes her medicine at the same time he takes his medicine, and they start getting closer that way. He agrees to this so that he can draw a picture of her, which I don't think it's just a picture. He's curious. He watched all her YouTube videos to see what this girl is about, and they end up falling in love. Now, one great thing about the character growth is that I love about this movie is it shows how people can help other people grow. I mean, it's not. I mean, yes, it's a romance. You expect, oh yes, they've fallen in love, help each other grow. But even though the story between them only takes a short period of time, it's about a month, they're both going through the same situation. And not only are they going through the same situation, they're both, I mean, having to stay, they can't come within 6 feet apart. The reason the story is not called 6 feet apart, 5 feet apart, is because creators took what they called creative liberties, and she decides to have 5 feet apart instead of 6 feet. We see that Will's selfish character, he cares about himself, and he starts to become more unselfish as he's around Stella. He learns that their nurse, they're both in the hospital, the nurse Barb, she said that she wanted to let two people not follow all the rules, and then both of the children died. So she didn't want that to happen with them. Barb is sort of the person trying to keep them apart, but the story greatly portrays it not as her trying to do this in malice. She does it because she really cares about them. She's grown up taking care of so many of these different teenagers with this horrible disease. And then also, when she tells her that, he tries to stay away from Stella because Stella had gotten sick, not from him, but because of something else. And that's when she shows the stick and makes a video about if they 5 feet apart. And literally, it's a very romantic story because they literally spending time together and they can hug their friends, but they can't hug each other or someone with cystic fibrosis. And they have to learn how to live with that. And in the end, they both go out. The person who dies is Stella's best friend with cystic fibrosis. And we see how that affects her. And Stella, who's very controlled and who's always following the rules, one of the things that she says is that I learned. No, she did. How did she put it? She said something on the lines. Forgive me for not remember exactly how she put it. I've been living for my treatment instead of taking my treatments to live, and that's really inspirational. I mean, how many people go through day-to-day life, or they go for a job just because they're supposed to do that? They're doing that because you have to survive, you have to pay bills, instead of actually, I have a job so that I could try and do better at my life. I just think that this is just so inspirational. You can apply this to so many other things, even though this situation is extreme. And of course, if he can't kiss, you can kiss poor Stella because they could get infected. And what happens is that after her best friend's death, they both go out because she wants to see some lights because her sister who had passed away, her used to make wishes on lights, like you would on candles. And they go and they go out to do that, and Stella wants to be free and she's grieving over her best friend, and of course another spoiler alert, she falls through the ice. Will's not supposed to touch her, but if he does it, she's going to die. So he pulls her out of the water. She's up on some ice. She's not thinking about anything, but she just wants to be free and not have to worry about everything. And she's just tired of all the constraints and all the rules and everything. And he gives her mouth to mouth. And they say, luckily, she did not catch the disease, but she did get a pair of lungs. Now, the other part that makes this love story different is even though they still can't be together, Stella gets lungs. So that means that she should be able to have a better chance at living a healthier life for a number of years. But he knows because they both still have cystic fibrosis that there's going to be a chance that he could make her worse. So what happens is he gets her lungs. He has some lights show up near her hospital room, and he says that he doesn't want her to be sick, or he doesn't want her to break the rules. So he's going to do is he's going to walk away. So he pretty much ends their relationship. He still loves her. He really they both love each other, but he's saying that he doesn't want her to be breaking the rules and possibly getting an infection or doing anything to upset her immune system. So he's going to walk away from her. And I feel like this is the total turnaround from Will's character. Beforehand, you could tell he wasn't caring about. I mean, he's not a bad guy, but he's really not worrying so much about other people. Like he had a few friends over in his room. The first thing you see, and he pretty much used. He offered to let them use his room pretty much as a motel room, which I'm not quite sure how that would happen being on a hospital floor. Someone wouldn't notice that, but it's just he's very pessimistic about his disease, and he's worried about himself, and he's not so really concerned about someone else with his disease because he got involved with her to begin with. And then you see this complete turnaround where he's walking away. Stella has learned to live instead of living, her leaving her treatments to live instead of living for her treatment. And he's learned to kind of be more mature and see optimism about life. And he's learned more about her. And he's trying to be a decision that will be good for both of them, especially for her. Now, so what the message of this video has to do with is when you're making characters, whether it be a romance, whether it be sci-fi fantasy, never neglect how other people, whether it be friends, close friends, relatives, close relatives, someone who has not always been in that person's life can help the character grow. Because the story of a character staying stagnant, in my opinion, really isn't that interesting. And, or even sometimes people who they do know, never forget how your character can be influenced by other people, especially during some type of trying or times. It helps them to grow, and how that can progress the plot. I'm the 996. If my voice is a little scratchy, it's because I'm getting over a cold. Sorry about that. But I hope you like this video. Give it a thumbs up. And please subscribe and click the little bell. Thank you.